Although the European Union is a major driver for geographical indications, geographical indications are indeed a truly global concept because they are intellectual property rights that are recognized and protected at the international level. They are recognized under the TRIPS agreement of WTO, and they are also recognized and protected under the Geneva Act of the Lisbon Agreement in WIPO. In the European Union, they are protected through the sui generis system, which means that there are GI-specific laws that are used to protect geographical indications. And we have three sector-specific regulations. We have the regulation for agricultural products and foodstuffs, regulation for wines, and regulation for spirits. When it comes to geographical indications from the third countries, they can be protected in the European Union either through the sui generis system via direct applications that are sent to the European Union, or they can be protected via bilateral agreements of the EU with the third countries. In the EU system, the geographical indication is the name that identifies products having specific qualities, characteristics, or reputation due to natural and human factors linked to the specific place of origin. And as it was mentioned, the most important element of the geographical indication that is often neglected is the fact that GIs are intellectual property rights. The specificity of the European system of geographical indications is also in the fact that we use the term geographical indication as an umbrella under which we distinguish three types of geographical indications. We have protected designation of origin and protected geographical indications. These are used for the products in the sector of food and wine, and then in the sector of spirit drinks, we use the term geographical indication. Our system of geographical indications is a sound and well-functioning system, which is reflected in the number of geographical indications that are registered in the EU. At the moment, it is almost 3,300 names that are registered, with the category of wines being the biggest category, followed by food, and then we also have registered 259 spirit drinks products. Apart from this, there are also 1,669 geographical indications from non-European countries that are protected in the EU under the bilateral agreements. At this slide, you can see the distribution of geographical indications that are registered in the EU according to the countries. It is no surprise that the leader in the number of geographical indications are countries Italy, France, and Spain. And apart from this, we have also 221 geographical indications from third countries that were registered in the EU through direct applications. All these figures are the outcome of the EU system that is in place, but the main reason to have such a system in place is the protection of agricultural products in order to ensure that our cultural, gastronomic, and local heritage is preserved and certified as authentic across the world. And besides this, GIs have also a very important economic value for the European Union. In 2020, the new study was conducted for the European Commission, and this study provided us with important economic data on geographical indications in terms of volume, value, and the trade, as well as with the analysis of price premium of geographical indications. This study was based on 3,200 geographical indications that were registered until 2017. And the whole study is based on the data from 2017. And according to this study, the estimated total sales volume of European GIs is 75 billion euros, which accounts for almost 7% of the total EU food and drink sales. Out of this, the biggest category is the category of wine, which represents 50% of this total sales volume. Then agricultural products represent another 35% of this volume, and spirit drinks account for 13%. The same study was conducted already in 2012 based on the data from 2010, and thus we can say that there is a very positive development because the total sales volume covered by geographical indications has grown since 2010 by 37%. And when we look at the sales destination of the European geographical indications, we see that the majority of sales, 58%, take place at the national market of member states. 20% take place on the EU market, which means that the GIs are sold between the member states in the EU. So this is the intra-EU trade. And 22% of geographical indications from the EU are sold in the markets of third countries, which is indeed a significant number. In terms of concrete number, this accounts for 17 billion euros, which is the export volume of geographical indications to non-EU countries. And this volume represents 15% of the total EU food and drink exports. Again, the biggest category which is responsible for this number is the category of wines, which represent 50% of the European exports to non-EU countries. Agricultural products and foodstuffs represent 10% of exports, and category of spirits accounts for 39% of the export volume of geographical indications. When we look at the destinations of the exports of geographical indications, the main export destinations is the country United States of America, which accounts for 34% of geographical indications, followed by China and Hong Kong, which receives 13% of the export of European GIs, then followed by Singapore and other countries which are not visible on this graph for some reason. But it is Switzerland, Canada, and Japan, which all of them account for 6% of geographical indications exports. These are all very important and impressive numbers, but the volume of geographical indications is also translated in many other advantages, and not all of them can be expressed in the numbers or the economic terms. Geographical indications brings significant benefits for producers, for consumers, and also for society as a whole. When we talk about the producers, one of the biggest advantages of geographical indications is the protection of the product names, because system of our geographical indications provides a strong protection that is defined in the legislation. Geographical indications are protected against any direct or indirect commercial use on the products that are not covered by the registration. They are also protected against the misuse, imitation, and evocation. And they are also protected against any other misleading practice. And this protection also applies when the geographical indications are sold by the means of distance selling through the electronic commerce. Secondly, the geographical indication name is reserved to products that respect the product specification. This means that in order to use the name of geographical indications, producers have to follow the procedures and they have to respect the use of ingredients and traditional methods that are defined in the product specification of geographical indications. And it is important to say that geographical indications can be used by all producers that respect this product specification. So unlike in case of trademark, geographical indications is a collective right. Also, another difference compared to trademark is that the geographical indications protection is unlimited in time. This means that there is no need to renew the protection of geographical indications once it is registered. There is also possibility to cancel geographical indication if the compliance with product specification is no longer ensured. Or there might be the case when the geographical indication product is no longer placed on the market for a certain period of time. So in that case, a geographical indication can be cancelled as well. As regards the protection, another important aspect is that protection is enforced by competent authorities of member states, which have to perform controls of GIs. They have to verify that the products that are placed on the market comply with the product specification, and they also have to monitor the use of geographical indications names in the market, online and also offline. Then one of the most important benefits for producers are certainly the better market opportunities that often allows the better price. According to the study that I already mentioned, geographical indication products are on average 2 times more expensive than comparable non-geographical indication products. This is what we call a price premium. It is the difference between the price of the product that bears geographical indication and a comparable non-GI product. And this is translated, of course, into the better position of geographical indications producers in the food chain and better profitability. And last but not least, the important benefit for producers of geographical indications comes from the fact that geographical indications are important marketing tool because GIs are in fact in a distinctive sign, and especially the European logo functions as a product differentiator and the brand recognition on the market. Then geographical indication system brings also important benefits for consumers because the fact that the product is certified as a geographical indication, this gives consumers important information on the characteristics and the benefits of the GI products. It provides the guarantee on the origin of the product, its tradition and heritage. Then on the quality of the product, which is guaranteed through the specification, Authenticity of the product, because as I mentioned, the geographical indications are protected against the imitation, and because of systematic system of controls, the safety of the product is guaranteed. And these controls are performed on the production sites and also on the market by competent public authorities of member states. And last but not least, quality designations prevent the standardization of food products and thus offered a wide choice to consumers. And geographical indications are also source of important benefits and advantages for society as a whole, and in particular for the rural communities, because geographical indications contribute to preservation of local know-how and traditional methods. They also contribute to preservation of biodiversity and sustainable agriculture. Especially today, there is a lot of talk about the importance of sustainability, but in case of geographical indications, because by definition, they are linked to the natural factors and know-how of producers in the specific geographical area, the sustainability characteristics are in fact intrinsic to geographical indications, but they are not often very visible to consumers. And geographical indications also contribute to preservation of a landscape, mainly thanks to the use of traditional production techniques. And this is also important reason why geographical indications may be also a contributing factor in the sector of tourism. And because geographical indications are linked to the specific geographical area, they help to maintain jobs and economic activities, and they create important spillover effects that are translated into adjacent economic activities in the rural areas. And that's why geographical indications are often referred to as rural intellectual property rights. As it was already mentioned in the introduction, at the moment, our system of geographical indication is going through the revision. I mentioned that the geographical indication system of the EU is a well-functioning and sound system, but the starting point for this reform was the mission letter from the President of the European Commission to the Commissioner for Agriculture, in which she requested to look at the ways how to further strengthen the system of geographical indications. Also, in year 2020, the European Commission adopted two important policy initiatives: Farm to Fork strategy, which called for strengthening of the legislative framework of geographical indications, and also intellectual property action plan was adopted. And this plan calls for improvement of the protection and enforcement for agricultural geographical indications to make the system more effective and to improve the fight against infringements of intellectual property rights. Our legislative proposal was adopted on the 31st March of this year, and at the moment the legislative proposal is discussed in the Council and in the European Parliament. So it is of course at the moment subject to changes, and it is a work in progress. But the main objective of our proposal is to strengthen the protection and enforcement of geographical indications, to increase the efficiency of the whole system, and increase the uptake of geographical indications across the European Union, but of course also increase the registration of geographical indications from third countries in the European Union. I will not go into the details of our proposal, but I would still like to mention the most important novelties that are proposed by the reform. So the main objective of our proposal is to strengthen the protection of geographical indications, in particular on the internet, because within the review of our system, we conducted also open public consultation, and the increased protection of geographical indications, notably on internet, was identified as one of the most important aspects by stakeholders. Then another novelty of the proposal is that the scope of our current regulation will be extended to all agricultural products according to the definition of WTO. Then, as regards the improvement of the efficiency of our system, the reform introduced the common provisions on the procedures for geographical indications across all sectors. This means that the procedures for registration of geographical indication, amendment of the product specifications, or cancellation of geographical indications will be same for the sector of wine, food products, and spirited drinks, because at the moment there are some differences in these procedures. Similarly, the reform introduces the common provisions on the controls and enforcement of geographical indications in the sector of spirited drinks and agricultural products, while for the wine sector, the separate system of controls will be preserved because of the specificities of this sector. And the proposal also introduces the category of producer groups, which are called recognized producer groups. This means that at the EU level, the member states would designate for each geographical indication a recognized producer group that would be granted with more powers, notably in the area of enforcement of geographical indication. And this is in order to further support the position of producer groups in the food supply chain. And as regards the sustainability, our proposal aims to encourage producers to adopt or enhance their sustainable practices. The proposal doesn't introduce or doesn't define any sustainability elements on a compulsory basis. It will be on the voluntary basis, but the aim is to show consumers that geographical indications are by their own nature, in fact, sustainable products. And last but not least, the proposal foresees technical assistance of European Intellectual Property Office in the scrutiny of applications of geographical indications in order to increase the efficiency of the whole system. And here I would like to conclude my presentation. So thank you very much for your attention.